supercharged, I believe, the Lambo and Ferrari. Hey, there's a bunny. There's a bunny. Do you see the bunny over there? Oh. All right, guys, I just bought my dream car, and this is just a video going through the story of how I bought it, my logic, my rationale going through it, lessons, and now that I've been driving it for about a month, what I think of it hindsight of the whole situation and my experience. So I've been looking at this car for quite some time. You know, once you make some money, you want to buy your dream car. I've been looking at this for quite some time. I always go on the internet to look for the deals, to see if there are any good deals, any bargains I can get. I went to the proper dealership for this car. The guy offered me quite a high price, and you know, like it's a rare car. You know, it's not like a Corolla, okay? So eventually I did spot a decent find online, and I went to the dealership. Now this dealership was like a consignment dealership. It's not like an official dealership. They're selling it on behalf of someone else. It was a well spec'd out model. The color was great. It had a lot of options, and the price was like better than like the most recent prices I get from the normal dealerships. So I was like really considering this one. I had a chat with the salesman. He seemed all right at the time, and I said I'd think about it. So the next day I was in the Blue Mountains, which is like a tourist area, and he texted me in the morning. He's like, so do you want it or not? Like, I'll give it to you for this price. I negotiated like a few $1,000s off. And then my question was like, man, like the running costs. So I messaged him, what's the insurance on it? He said $2,000. Now here's where I fucked up. I should have really checked with an insurer, a proper insurer, not just taking his word. He said 2,000, and I was like, that's pretty cheap. So I said, okay, let's do it. Okay, stupid, right? So because the insurance was actually $6,000. Anyway, that's beside the point. Check with an insurer, but don't just take the dealership's word. So I lock it down, I pay the deposit, and then I slowly pay for the whole thing. I didn't even test drive the car, by the way, so that's mistake number 2. Test drive the car before you buy it. So I started paying him, and eventually, when the final payment was made, I picked up the car and went for a drive. Yay, right? You'd think that'd be the end of the story, but as soon as I took it out, about like 20 minutes later on the road, I noticed this flashing warning light. I'm like, what the hell is this warning light? And it's like, so it's like inspection required. I messaged the dealer. I'm like, hey, I'm getting this warning light. It says inspection required. He's like, I'll check it out. He goes back to me, says, hey, look, it requires to be a service. And I was just thinking, wait, like I just bought this car off you. Why is there a service required? Like, shouldn't you have like done this beforehand? And he's like, yeah, don't worry, we'll get the previous owner to pay for the service. I'm like, okay, fine. If the previous owner pays for it, then it's all good. He books in the service for me, and I go to the service center on the day of the booking. They do the rundown, and the price comes out to be about $4,000, which I relay back to the dealer. And he's like, yeah, that's quite high. I don't think the previous owner is going to agree to that. I'm like, I don't care if you promised me he would do it. I don't care if the price is $1 million. You said that he would pay for the previous service. So you have to be a man of your word and just honor what you said. So, and he's just making like all these excuses. Like he's showing me text messages of the previous owner being like, dude, this guy got a bargain. Like I threw in all these deals for him. I don't care if I got a bargain. If I got a bargain, that's great for me. I'm not denying that I got a bargain. You said you'd do something, you got to do it. And he's just really not complying. But to be honest, yeah, so the service cost $2,000. The previous owner agreed to pay $2,000. So I fronted the next $2,000. I don't even care about the $2,000. Like $2,000, I don't care about $2,000. I just care that you didn't honor your word. As a man, you got to honor your word. As a businessman, your word is your bond. How am I supposed to trust you if you can't honor your word? So that's what happened. Now the car that I bought, I'll probably just show you. So we'll just cut to a clip where I show you. All right, so here's my dream car. It's a nice beastie car. Nah, I'm just joking. It's this car right over here. So yeah, like I said, this was the logical choice for me to make, okay? It is more fuel efficient. It's got cheaper insurance, right? And what else? Cheaper insurance, and yeah, less maintenance costs pretty much. More practical than most other cars that you would get. Okay, now I can't open from, there we go. Yeah, cheaper, cheaper to maintain. So this was the most logical bad choice when making a car, decision to buy a sports car, right? Cheaper than a Lamborghini, and you know what? I have just as much fun. All right, So we got a bit of a, oh, I've turned that nonsense off. All right, so about this car, we got some, whoa, man, almost smashed into the car behind me. Whoa, that could have been bad. We got front camera. Lucky we got some parking sensors. We're relying on the parking sensors and not my spidey senses. All right, let's get out of here. All right, I've successfully gotten out of my parking space. Now, about the car, we got a couple of features, okay? So this is what I like to call scaring grandma mode, okay? So it revs the engine really loud when you press it and it scares grandma. It was good for scaring grandma and being a dick. This is called park anywhere mode. So you can press this button and pretty much park anywhere and you're just being a dick. This is called balls mode because when you press this, the traction control goes off. So it means you got balls and you're just being a dick on the road. And I don't know what this does, but it's probably something about being a dick. But luckily, I'm not a dickhead driver. I follow the rules. And yeah, now, like I said, we're driving in Sydney. It's pretty slow traffic. So the good thing about this car is that unlike a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, you can actually go over a speed bump without scraping the front lip. So, you know, you're not gonna drive over a speed bump super slow and worry about scraping the front lip, you know. This is actually a usable car for day to day. It's just Sydney traffic is horrendous. Like what is the, like what, look at this. What is the point? What is the point of this? It's just not, you know, start, stop. I'm using 13.7 liters. Like, where's the fun? Where's the fun? And that's a car I bought. Now this part of the video is if you want to buy a sports car to get chicks. Okay, so if you think you're going to buy a sports car to get girls, you're going to attract the opposite. It's a serious dude magnet. Every compliment I've gotten for this car has been by an old guy who's like, yeah, nice car, or a young kid who wants me to rev the engine. All right, no chicks have given me attention from the car, except for my wife, so I didn't need the car to get her. So if you want to get this car to get girls, nah, man, that's not happening. Like, you're gonna get compliments from dudes and other car enthusiasts. So forget about attracting women if that's the main purpose of the car. Now, in terms of why I bought this particular model, I bought this model because it was the logical choice. So it wasn't a good choice. It wasn't a good choice in terms of, should I have bought a sports car at my current state? Probably not. I probably should have just used that money on something better. But if I was to buy a sports car, this would probably be the best decision because the other options were 1, an AMG GT, 2 was a Ferrari, or 3, the Lamborghini. Now, these cars, they cost more than this one, but I think the level of fun would have been the same. So I would have spent more money for the same amount of fun. Then the insurance was higher, plus it uses more fuel. So this is a turbocharged car. The other ones are naturally aspirated. So I thought, hey, you know what? I'd save on fuel, I'd save on insurance, and I would have just as much fun. So that's the logical choice, okay? Can I still be a fake internet guru and be like, here in my garage, just bought this, I can't say Lamborghini, but I can still say expensive car. But what I care more is knowledge. Yeah, now in terms of fun, it does, for me, I get bored quite easily. So it's been a month and I have lost the novelty of the thrill of driving this car. Like, yeah, it's still fun to drive, but you know, when I'm just driving around town with my wife, I think just driving my other car, my Lexus Hybrid, is just, it's just a practical choice, and it's a very comfortable car. She likes it when it's just A to B. This car, to be honest, maybe it's just not made for where I am, which is Sydney. Sydney, we are super strict on road speed limits, right? If you go 5 kilometers over the speed limit, there's gonna be some cop hiding behind the bush with a radar gun being like, mate, you done 5 over the speed limit. That's a $300 fine. I hope you learn your lesson. Dude, like, we're so, like, these guys, they're so anal about the speed. And if you like complain about it to any Australian, the Australians are like, well, you sped, you went 5 over, you deserve to get punished. Dude, I just came back from Italy driving through the Dolomites. That place has no speed cameras, no cops hiding behind bushes. You can drive through the Italian Alps and just have a good time. Okay, I'm not talking about doing something reckless like driving 200 around a corner, but like at least enjoy when it's a straight road with no one there. Like at least enjoy it a little bit, right? Like Australians, we have this crazy, we're really anal about the speed limit, okay? It's just ridiculous. Like 5 kilometers over the speed limit will get you a fine pretty much over here. So I don't like that, and that's why I guess this car really isn't suitable for Australian roads. Like if Porsche had like a real human personality, its Australian roads would be like a living hell for the Porsche. In terms of like usability, it's actually quite a practical car. Like it's a car that like it's not uncomfortable for long roads. It goes over speed bumps without scraping the bottom. And it's more fuel efficient than the Lambo or AMG GT or the Ferrari. So I get around 11 liters per 100, which is around 21 to 22 miles per gallon. And I guess the way to have fun around it in Australia would be going through a national park when there's absolutely no one. So you got to go during dawn on a weekday, just drive through a national park. You can really enjoy the driving experience there. Otherwise, if you're just driving on like blocked roads, I really see no point. So that's my experience after driving it for about a month on Sydney roads. I'm like, you know what? Like, if this was all the fun that I could have on the road, it's probably better just to rent it and have that experience rather than owning it. All in all, I probably will sell this car sometime in a couple months. You know, this is not a car that I see is like, it's not a car that I feel like it's my car that I want to keep forever with me after experiencing it on Sydney roads. Maybe if I lived in Europe. Maybe if I lived in Europe where I can drive through the mountains every weekend, I would consider it. But on Australian roads, I just don't think a supercar is worth it. Unless possibly if I have like a crew of other like car owners like that want to drive around with me, and that's more of a social thing. But if it's just by myself through the Sydney roads, I think it's a car that I'm probably going to sell. And I did make a blog about like just my driving experiences. So this whole channel is going to have a blog attached to it. It's called 911nomad.wordpress.com. I'll have a link on the bottom. Check it out. I'll see you on the next video.